practices before the first game. How do you assess the offensive line's progress at this point?
I think they've well. I think they've all the kids have fundamentally we've progressed each day. I don't think there's been, knock on wood, a day that's set us back that which you usually have. So we've kind of been on an upscale every day, getting better to me, each individual and as a whole group.
Have you started yet, or when will you start kind of figuring out if this guy's going to be here?
I started to probably next week more. Just I'm still playing around with some guys, different positions, just to again to get the best five. Who are the best five that go in and play? But kind of once I get five, then I'll find 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 if I get that far. They kind of put them in my position. But right now, still playing with some guys. The tackles, yesterday went right and left. They all of them had to go. Damian, Charles, really, and Blaine went right and left in the rotation the whole time. 3 right, 3 left, 3 out. Just to keep getting them reps in all positions to see who fits where.
That begs the question: how far along the line do you think you are right now? 6, 7, 8. You can put it in an SEC game and feel good about it.
Probably 8, 9. I think to me, ultimately get ready. I'm not, to get ready and as many years doing it to say I'm going to get 12, 13 ready. You can't.
Right.
To me, ultimately, there's going to be 3 tackles, 3 guards, 2 centers, and then a third guy that can snap. They've had to be.
As a whole, what sticks out to you different about this group compared to this time a year ago?
I think that as young as a group as they are, they've actually matured in terms of taking responsibility and their knowledge of playing, knowledge of the system, and knowledge of defense, and that surprises me is really being a lot of sophomores that are playing with the 1s and 2s. I mean, we're ultimately 3 sophomores with the 1s. Is their knowledge of the game is pretty good.
How have things slowed down for JUCO guys like Sidaway and Dylan Holly compared to what it was in the spring for them trying to keep up?
I think it's still they're still in a learning process because it's still, and not that it's a learning process. I think it's just is the amount of offense, the amount of rules, responsibilities different than junior colleges. They have those kids for a year or 2 and they get them out, so it's got to keep it as simple as they possibly can for them. I think the hardest thing with us is it's such a multitude of offense and schemes and plays and protections and different things and then on top of that, all the little things that are involved with it. It becomes a little, more on it. But I think Charles has done a great job, and Dylan. I think Dylan's got better and better each day with it. I think Charles grasps it pretty quickly.
Has Dylan Day just really taken a hold of that center job, and has the arrival of Dylan Holly kind of pushed him a little bit?
Yeah, I think Dylan's embraced it a lot, and Dylan's taken it to be a leader. And I think I knew that in recruiting with Dylan was he's got a little that attitude to stay ahead and chip on his shoulder, stay ahead of people. He's got to keep doing that. I think Dylan is pushing him more and more. I think Dylan's still behind again in the learning curve, where Dylan now is going year 3 of the system, year 3 of everything else.
With the guys like Beckwith and Justin still young and still fighting to get in that depth, how much does it help to have a guy like Tobias Smith to also kind of be a somewhat of a coach with them to help guide them?
It's irreplaceable. I think the one thing with Tobias is, to me on the field, obviously it's a great thing. Off the field, it's a great thing to have. I'd love to have him on the field every day and every play, and I'm every day working for that. But I think the one thing is he brings is just to be in that meeting room with me and those kids. That brings a whole different. They're always looking at him as he's not the coach, he's not the player. He's that guy in between that they can look at as for reference as a player, but also reference as they're going to get knowledge from him of every other thing that's involved in this game.
What's your expectations out of Tobias this year? Still too early to tell.
I think it's too early to tell. He went out. I mean, he's done a lot of things, and he's done a lot. I mean, all the stuff that I've asked him to do in terms of he's done some one-on-one stuff. That was good to get through, but I'm not. Again, that injury he had, I'm not. With listen to the doctors and Justin, there's no need to push him into anything where it's going to set him back. Just step by step, get him involved, and get that knee ready to go.
I know Clausell kind of got thrown into the fire a little last year. How have you just seen him progress and take that, whichever tackle place he plays?
I think same thing, maturity. I think maturity of he got thrown in the fire and he got beat some last year. And to me, that's one thing. One thing you learn when you play young kids on offensive line, and maybe it is the same different position. You play kids young and they get burned. It's a confidence, maybe especially a tackle. To me, it's no different than a defense, a corner. I mean, you get burned, your confidence is shot. There's got to be an arrogance to you at that position, at that left tackle or right tackle position, because you're on the edge with, to me, the most athletic guys in that field. For their size, it's no different than a corner that you get burned, their confidence goes. That's hard to get back. I think the one thing is he stepped up from, making mistakes, making things to learn from them and go.
Blaine got pretty light during the season last year as far as his weight, and he's bulked back up, got some weight on him. How does that extra bulk actually, you think, going to help him this season? What way?
Just just weight, having that weight not being 285, flirting at 285, 290, he's flirting in the 305, 310, where it's 20 pounds that they got to move more.
Yeah.
You know, and he's learned through the off season with Matt doing a terrific job with him of getting him to play in that weight. So we can use that for his advantage instead of having to try to use pure strength. He can use body, that just 20 pounds of mass to keep him off him.
When you and Coach Mullen first got here, this team was pretty depleted on as far as depth at offensive line and also receiver, and each year y'all have built to that. Just talk about what it's like to go. I think you said 18 offensive linemen now to go out there and work with.
There's a bunch of them in there, but I think it's just anything when you have numbers, it creates competition. Now, numbers in general, saying there's 32 of them, if they're not going to push, if you have only 5 that you feel can play, I mean, you can have 75, but that's not going to matter. It's the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Those are the next 6 that have to be able to push 1 through 5. If 6 through 10 are pushing 1 through 5, you could have 100 guys. It's the ability to have those guys sit there and say, hey, you're stepping back, put another guy in there. That it creates competition and get better. You get better, you're not going to be there very long. There's someone behind you breathing down your neck. Or prior to that, kids can sit there and look behind them and say, I'm not going anywhere. There's no one behind me.
Cool.